Hey, I'm Dr. Drew Jamieson, and today I want to talk to you about one of the most common complaints I hear in my office, and that's surrounding low energy and constant fatigue. And I'm sleeping 8 hours a night, and yet I still feel tired all the time. So let's go through a checklist of some of the things I see and the themes that surround this chronic low energy, which is easily one of the most common complaints I hear. So the first one we should talk about is sleep. Now, if you're not getting at least 7 or more hours of deep, restful sleep every single night, you are shooting yourself in the foot. People will try and get by on 5 or 6, and they'll make up the difference with energy drinks and coffee and pre-workouts, but that is fake energy. Your body is looking for energy in a glass because you're not getting deep, restorative sleep. Of that 7+ hours that you aim for every single night, at least 90 minutes of that should be deep sleep. Now, there's lots of apps and tracking devices you can use to keep an eye on this, whether it's on your phone or various rings and wristwatches. So if you like to hack your sleep and track all these parameters, you can do that. But at a baseline level, you need to be sleeping 7 or more hours. If you're having trouble with sleeping, you got to make sure that you have the right environment and that your sleep hygiene is under control. So it needs to be a cold, dark, quiet room. You need to limit light exposure at night. There's tons of powders and pills and melatonin and all kinds of stuff you can take to enhance your sleep so you have more energy the next day. But what it really comes down to is light exposure. So you got to make sure that it's dark at night so that melatonin can go up and cortisol can come down. And then first thing in the morning, you want to expose yourself to bright natural light. That gives a reflex in your nervous system so that you'll have melatonin secretions later that night. So a good night of sleep starts the moment you wake up. So that's sort of a quick crash course on sleep and how important it is for restoring your energy systems. And the next one is nutrient deficiencies. So if you're struggling with energy, you got to get a nutrient panel done, whether it's a micronutrient panel or at the very least some basic things like iron or ferritin, which is a storage form of iron. You need to look into your vitamin B12 levels as well as vitamin D because these nutrients power our energy systems. And if you're iron deficient, you can't move oxygen around your body. You're going to feel really fatigued. B12 is critical for energy and mood regulation. Also a very common deficiency. And then vitamin D is just sort of that master vitamin pro-hormone that also is critical in order for you to feel energized throughout the day. So if you're tired all the time, those are 3 things you must get done in blood work. I would recommend a comprehensive micronutrient panel, but at the very least, those are the ones that should be done. You also need to then consider hypothyroidism. If you're dealing with energy that is up one day, down the next, or it's just flatlined for the majority of the day and you can't put your finger on it, you need to get screened for hypothyroidism. Thyroid's a little butterfly-shaped gland that sits right here in your neck, and if it's not functioning at 100%, you are going to feel lethargic, tired, and sluggish. It'll also cause you to feel cold in your extremities, hands or feet, can lead to weight gain, puffiness, fluid retention, thinning of the eyebrows here, hair loss or redistribution of hair. Lots of symptoms that come with hypothyroid, but the big one is just fatigue and low energy. You're going to sleep a lot and still have no energy because your thyroid is malfunctioning. I'm going to do a full video that breaks down thyroid, but some things to think about are micronutrients again here. So you need zinc, selenium, and the most important one for thyroid is iodine. Most common reason people go into a slow thyroid or low metabolism state is they don't get enough iodine for what their system requires. Okay, that comes from food that's in the ocean. There's also some trace amounts in meat products. Cranberries, another good source of iodine, but mostly it's going to be fish and seaweed and stuff from the ocean because that's where you get your iodine from. So that is a huge topic. Like I said, I'll do a full breakdown of that, but getting your thyroid screened when you have low energy is super important because you need to then figure out why it's not functioning 100%, and that's where the treatment plan comes in. We also then need to consider, are you doing a job you love? Do you have purpose and goals? Because if you're working a job you hate and you don't feel like you have a good solid purpose in this world, that's going to impact your energy system in a big way. They've done studies on this, and when it comes to happiness and high energy and just vibrancy and enthusiasm, it really comes down to working a job you love, you know that's meaningful, and that you know is positively impacting the lives of others. if those boxes are ticked, you're going to feel good about what you're doing. You're going to get energized by what you're doing. It's not going to feel like work, so it's not going to drain you. It'll actually charge you up. So lacking purpose and goals is a real big one when it comes to low energy, because then you're just simply existing. You're showing up. You're getting by. You're there, but you're living well below your potential of what could be. And so that's why this is a critical thing to consider. Same thing goes with a toxic relationship or being around people that don't lift you up but pull you down. I mean, do you think that's going to impact your energy? Of course it will. So there's a lot of physiological reasons that I've just talked about, but then there's also going to be these lifestyle ones and these situational ones. And a lot of them you have control over because you can change your circle of who you're hanging out with. You can set some goals and you can start doing meaningful work so that at the end of the day, you know you were giving back in a positive way. And that's going to generate so much free energy. You have no idea. Which then leads into another potential cause of low energy, and this is either anxiety or depression. If people are dealing with mental health struggles, they will feel issues in their energy systems, whether it's high, whether it's low, and this also needs to be a possible consideration when it comes down to the diagnosis and the workup. Is there a mental health thing going on that may be driving this? And then finally, just high stress. So the pace we live in North America in particular, it is just go, 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 fill the day. Every hour needs to be spoken for. People will wear it like a badge of honor. I slept 6 or 7 hours last night and that's all I needed. I am working 7 days a week, and eventually this starts to backfire because the body can only do so much. You can only run on fumes of cortisol for so long. And to give you a quick little breakdown of the stress system, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, these are hormones that help give us energy and combat stress and deal with everything that life throws at us. And when we're in an alarm phase or a fight and flight phase for so long, the output of those hormones needs to go up to sort of regulate the amount of stress coming at us. And your body will be able to fight it off for a certain amount of time, but there comes a point when you start to run on fumes and your adrenal glands can only put out so many of those hormones for so long before you now have an empty tank of gas. And that's when you'll start to hit a burnout. You'll start to just flatline with your energy, and your enthusiasm and passion and drive for everything will just start to essentially do a nosedive. And so that's why when it comes to high stress, and adrenal dysfunction, it's a spectrum, and it's trying to find out where the person is on that spectrum. But that will absolutely impact energy systems, because if you're going on, again, too much free energy or too many stress hormones for too long, eventually that bottoms out. And then these are the people that are going to be looking for that caffeine or that pre-workout. They'll be looking for free energy in some of the weirdest places. And then that is simply a band-aid and not a long-term solution. So you got to kind of peel back the curtain and figure all this out. But again, energy and sluggishness and lethargy is one of the most common problems that I see come through my office. Another big one that I see is a super easy way to remedy it is just do more resistance training. Now, a lot of people would say, you don't have energy, you should just start exercising. And while I agree with that, I like to take it one step further. You need to do resistance training, and I'll talk about why. When you stress your muscles, break them down, they build back up stronger and bigger and more efficient. More efficient at what? Well, a lot of people don't know this, but most of the energy we make in our body comes from the mitochondria. Where do we have a lot of mitochondria? It's in our muscles. It's in your heart tissue. It's in your muscle tissues that move your joints. And so when you work out, resistance train, and build muscle, you're actually building energy systems in your body. Way more energy systems. Think of them like power plants. And so you can't just achieve this with walking or jogging or doing yoga. Those are all fantastic and should be foundational things you do for your exercise. But if you're looking to improve your energy and really anti-age yourself, you need to build muscle. You need to do resistance training several times per week. My sweet spot for most people should be around 3 to 4. Now, I've been in the weight room now for going on 20 years and absolutely changed my life. I cannot tell you how many doors it's opened up for me, the opportunities that have presented themselves. Looking after your body and building muscle is one of the most rewarding things you can do. It's also a form of self-love, but it builds tremendous energy. So this is very, very important. As you age, the other cool thing with resistance training is it builds strong bones, because there's only a few things that build strong bones, and that's good compound movements in the gym. Squats, deadlifts, presses, chin-ups, pull-ups, rows, things of that nature will stimulate and build muscle. They'll also pull on the skeletal bones, and that is a really important thing to do as you age, because then it helps with your balance, your coordination, risk of fracture goes down, and then all the while you have way more energy to show for it. And if you don't believe me, just go to the nearest CrossFit or high intensity gym and you tell me, do the people going there seem to have lots of energy? And the answer is yes, because that one domino then just falls everything else into place as the day goes. So you start off with exercise, build muscle. You're then going to be hungry, so you're going to start eating breakfast earlier in the day. It'll regulate your blood sugar, because all of the muscles are like a sponge. They soak up blood sugar. The rest of the day, you're going to be pretty steady with your meals. And then because you push so hard and exhausted yourself physically in the morning and then mentally at work, you're going to fall asleep no problem later that night. And then that is going to, again, feed back into the energy systems, because you're going to be getting 7 or more hours. So these are some critical considerations. If you've been to your doctor a few times and you've been complaining of low energy, and a lot of those stories I told ring true to you, then you owe it to yourself to do a proper workup through all of these systems that I just highlighted, because you have to look under every rock, you have to consider every cause, and you have to not stop until you figure out what is causing the low energy. And then you can live an awesome, vibrant life. So if you need help with this, or you have any questions, just drop a comment below. All my contact information will be there, and I'd be happy to help out and give you a second opinion and get you feeling full of energy, ready to tackle the day.